What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 6 of the map edit series, and today in this video I'm going to actually be creating a racetrack map where we race against AI characters. I've been doing that recently, and I created a couple of maps that are available on the PC. One's called RZR Dirt Track Arena, and the second one's called Backcountry Track. So anyways, somebody had asked if I could maybe make a video showing what to do and what not to do. The only difficult part is I still don't know what to really not do. AI tends to have a mind of their own, and we'll run into some issues like that here in this video. So what we're going to do to create our track is we need to choose Bounty Hunt. I haven't really found another good game mode that would work with this because we're creating laps, right? We're going in a circle, basically. And so you want the player to do multiple laps. And Bounty Hunt's a good game mode to do that because you can do one lap, hit a trigger, kill the Bounty Hunt target, and then it will spawn in the extraction zone at the finish line, and then you go around the track and hit the extraction zone. Haven't found a good way to do that with any other game mode. So right now we're just going to do Bounty Hunt. We'll do an empty map. I would like to do more than just 2 laps. The other tracks that I made, there's 3 laps, but the way I have that set up is when you start the last lap, there's a checkerboard texture pillar that spawns at the finish line, and you're supposed to break through that, and it sticks out, and I'm hoping people don't actually hit their brakes and not go through that when they're supposed to. So that potentially could screw up the flow of the map, and that might be why some of the racing maps don't have the best ratings. Anyways, so we have our empty map here. Now what we want to do is we want to create a track, and we don't want to create a too big of a track because the AI tend to not traverse a track that's too large. I have an actual track here that I kind of doodled ahead of time, so I know what to make. And what I'm going to do is we're going to change this map into a snow setting. Do a snow texture. Let's see, we'll do snow. That'll be fine. Now, because I can't see anything because of how bright it is, I'm going to turn the sun position down a little bit. Alright. So what we need to do is go ahead, and what I use for right now is set terrain to height. And, hang on, I'm going to be toying with the mic here for a second. Sorry. Alright, anyways, so I'm going to set the terrain to height tool. We'll go ahead and match the terrain we got there, and then I'm just going to slightly lower it, just slightly, and then we'll raise the hardness. Up. The radius of the track, 6.50 is pretty good. That's pretty wide for a track. Originally, I was wanting to use 4-wheelers, but the AI kept flipping them over and ragdolling off of them and dying, so 4-wheelers was out of the question. So I ended up using the, I think it was a Polaris, the RZR buggies. Okay, so let's go ahead and start our track here. So we're going to do... How deep is that? That should be pretty good. I'm going to raise the hardness a little bit more. Okay. Alright, so we've got... So it kind of... Looks like it's kind of diagonal, how I drew it. Like that. And then it's a turn. Now when you're doing a racing track with AI, you want the AI to be able to go as fast as possible. And the way to prevent them from braking so much is that make sure your turns are not too sharp, because they really slow down. But it does allow the player to get ahead and use that to their advantage. Alright, so we've got our turn, and it looks like we go straight down through here. And then a slight bend, kind of like that. And kind of goes forward a little bit and straightens itself out. And then here, I don't know if many of you all know, and maybe it's just me, but if you used an ice lake texture and you drive on it, your steering is a little harder. So there's supposed to be a little ice area, frozen lake that we drive across. I don't know how the AI is going to traverse that or how well they will, but it is something that we definitely want to try. So we'll do medium. Let's see, so we kind of want the, I'm gonna kind of mark it here. All right, get our tool back. All right, so we're gonna go straight out onto the lake and then just do a slight bend, just a slight turn, because I want the player to be able to turn and kind of slide. I want them to experience that. You're not going to experience that if you're just going straight across the ice, unless you wreck or you turn. Alright, so we're just going to keep going up, and then I think it goes straight up like this, and then it kind of turns off. Now what I have doodled here is a road, like an actual 2-lane road, and that pretty much starts right here, and then we go around this bend, which I am envisioning it's a cliff on this side. It drops, but it's a kind of like a tunnel that you go into, but you can see out on this side. I think that'll be neat. And then so this main road goes around the bend, and then the road will go straight that way, but our track is actually going to come off and connect to there. So that's how that's going to be. I'm going to go ahead and establish the road now. And then we'll just do double yellow. That'll be fine. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just plop it right here. Alright, so then that'll come back. Now, I'm not going to leave the track, you know, into the terrain like this. This is just an easy, quick way to create your track and then put some AI on it to test it out. And that's honestly what I would recommend if you're making a track like this with AI. Make your track, set your AI up, and I'll show you all how you can set your AI up to do laps and stuff. But you'll want to do that first, because it'll be such a disappointment for you to make a beautiful looking track and adding all this stuff and then put your AI down and they don't do the track. Now you gotta strip everything down. So we're just creating a quick, easy, simple track, and that's about it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the ice here and I'm gonna lower this down, and then I'm gonna dent that, and we're just gonna widen this area. Widen it more over here, and then that's right, we need it widened right here too, because the player's got to curve or turn on the ice. Alright, so that's how that's done, and then we'll probably do I don't know how deep it actually goes, but we'll just create a ramp Is that the edge? That is the edge. Well, let's go out a little bit more then. Alright, so we dip down like that, and then we'll dip down with that here. I just got to move the ice over a little bit. Okay. Alright, cool. And then our road, all we have to do is just turn it a little bit. That'll be fine. And this road's gonna come out to here. And what I'm thinking is there's gonna be a bridge right here, and there'll be icicles hanging off the bridge. I might even actually do the ember effect, and then create snow flurries as well, and just place them over the track along the path. So just to really make it feel like it's a wintry, snowy setting. All right, so we've got our track. Now we're gonna go to our navigation mesh. This is very important here. And we're just gonna look at the overall track, make sure everything's connected well, and it seems to be. So that's great. Then we'll go to our pedestrian mesh. Now where did I mark the... Okay, so I marked the finish line. So this angle's a little too... It's a little too sharp. It's not supposed to be like that. So I'm just gonna fix it. We'll probably want to widen it since this is the finish line right here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and establish our finish line, and I'm typing gate. We'll scroll down, and I usually use the gate sign here. So just like that. Okay, and then now what we need to do is figure out where our AI is going to branch off. And what that means is there's a point in the track where there's a ramp, and there's these destructible tarps that generate a vehicle nav mesh. So these tarps are at the edge of the ramp, and it tells the AI to go to their control zone, which is outside the map. However, they jump the ramp and they miss the tarp. The tarps are destroyed at the beginning of the race, of course, because visually that doesn't look nice. But two, you don't want them to actually drive on those tarps. So you blow them up with a script, and the AI will jump the ramp and land back on the track and just keep going around. And that's how you build that. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that now. So we're going to just try to figure out a good place to kind of put the good place to put it. I'm thinking maybe right here would be okay. So what we'll do is we'll go to our set terrain to height, and just gonna raise this up just a little bit, just like that. And what I notice is that sometimes it seems actually, hang on, maybe I should find a better... No. Sometimes it seems like if you put the jump on like or the branch off point on like a ramp that's on a curve slightly, it works a little bit better than just doing a straight ramp. I'm gonna try to attempt to do it here, and hopefully this will work just fine. So we'll create our jump. Now at the branch off, when you do a ramp, you definitely don't want to connect the vehicle nav mesh. You'll definitely want to break that. Alright, so that's broken there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ramp tool, or the set terrain to height. We'll match that ramp, and I'm just going to do this. And we'll go straight out. Just like that. And that's all that we're going to do. I'm hoping this track's not too big. Unfortunately, you can't make a very large track. Then again, you may be able to, as long as you don't have too many curves and turns. That might be possible. So what we need is we need a tarp. So we'll type in tarp, and you can do this on console as well. So we will put the tarp there. And we will, what I kind of want to do is put it right dead in the center. And I want to turn this tarp, come back towards the ramp, and do something like that. And then I'm going to raise it up a little bit. And then we just copy and paste, or duplicate all the way to the end here. And there we go. That's our branch off point. So what's going to happen is these are going to blow up, and then the AI is going to jump the ramp, and sometimes they'll turn and kind of grind on the wall. But if you set it up right, which I can't really explain how to set it up right, because it's just you play around with it until the game says, oh, okay, that's right, and then the AI do what you want them to do. Let me see. I'll move this back a little bit to there. So the only thing I'm not really liking is the fact that this angle is in line with the branch off, and I'm worried that the AI is just going to keep going straight, jump the ramp, and hit this wall, which there will be a wall there, I would imagine, or a rock. So maybe what we need to do, put the tarp back here, which will make them go somewhat straight, and then maybe just duplicate this. Maybe we'll turn this to about there, because what you want the AI to hit this ramp at full speed. If you make the tarp turn too quickly, there's a chance that the AI will hit their brakes before jumping the ramp, and then they end up falling right here at the base, and then they get stuck, or they die, or they get stuck and they get out of the vehicle, then they run the rest of the track, or they run, and you don't want that to happen. I guess it kind of works too, like maybe a racer got injured and so they're out of the race kind of thing. But the problem is the vehicle stays there, and then your other racers are gonna hit that vehicle and get stuck. Now what we want to do is we most importantly want to block off any sort of nav mesh that will lead outside of the track, and that includes vehicles as well. So I'm going to select this, and I'm just going to do that and block that off, and we're going to do the same thing over here. The next area that we'll want to do, so like right here, we're going to do that and do that. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that the map is functioning properly. The AI is traversing the track normal. Afterwards, you worry about the beauty of your map and adding objects and stuff. Though sometimes it seems like when you add objects outside the map to make your map pretty, that affects the AI in the track. Even though they can't go out there, for some reason it affects them. And I don't know why that is. So we're going to go ahead and just cut off any sort of nav mesh that will lead the AI outside of the track. Then we need to do the same thing with the pedestrian, because what can happen is you're going to have the AI just running outside of the track, and we don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to try to fix some of these areas. Oh, crud. I didn't mean to do that. There we go. Come on. There we go. Alright. A little bit of a... Oh. Okay. Now these are areas where you put like invisible walls and stuff. Now they shouldn't be able to run anywhere in the center, so I'm not going to really worry about that, but I'm just mainly wanting to worry about the outside of the map. Okay, I'm not going to worry about that. You know what? You know, it'll be easier if I just do this. Just cut it off. Now, where we're going to test the AI is going to be over here. And the reason being is because this is where the branch off happens. And what I think I've noticed is if your track's too long and their control zone's too far, and sometimes they'll drive the vehicles, yes. But if it's too far, when they jump the ramp at the branch off point, they end up grinding on the wall a lot more if the path is too far versus if the path is shorter. Like, it's very weird. It's like if the path is shorter, the AI recalculates faster. So then they just continue going straight and don't grind on the wall. It's probably not always the case. But again, doing something like this is, I still haven't figured out like the do's and don'ts. And every time I think I do, the AI gives me the middle finger and proves me wrong. So you just have to really play around with it until you get it, unfortunately. Okay, so I think we've got the outside. No, not yet. Okay, there we go. Let's block that off. There we go. Definitely want to block all these off. Okay, that should be okay. The AI should be motivated to use a vehicle now and not go not run outside the map. And this is elevated right here, so this should be fine. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and put some control zones down. Or actually, let me put the buggies down. And do a red one. I'll get the Pro Edition. That'll be mine. So I'm just going to put 2 AI characters down for the time being. And then we're going to go ahead and do control zone. And then we're going to do move and defend. And I've got that turned off. Alright, move and defend. We'll place it right at the very end. Sometimes you don't want to place it at the very end, because if it's too far, the AI will get in their vehicles, yes, but then they won't drive anywhere. It's just too far for them to actually, I guess, you know, go. And that's always been the case since Far Cry 3, and I don't know why Ubisoft hasn't changed that. Now what we need to do is add our AI characters. So we're going to go to AI, and we're going to do allies. And we're going to do brawler, because we don't want somebody shooting a pistol out of their buggy. Or most importantly, we don't want them aiming. So alright, so we'll plop him there. And then who else wants to go? We'll use him. We'll connect them to their control zones. Okay. And then we need to motivate the AI to drive fast and furious. Pedal to the metal. And the way to do that is if you put an ally and an enemy nearby, because they get alerted and then they end up driving the track. So I use a container, and then I lower the container under the map, and then in the center of this container we're going to put the Blood Dragon glass oh no, is it up here? Yeah, there it is. We're going to use the Blood Dragon glass. It's see-through, obviously, but it's indestructible. So we're going to place that there. We're going to go back to AI. We're going to do an ally again. We're going to do brawler. If you want to save memory space, you can use the same AI character you've already used. And then we'll go to enemies, and we'll use a brawler. And we'll put him here. That way he's not able to look out of that doorway and see the player driving the track, and then you've got the detection meter that shows up. That might confuse a player. So we want him to not be able to see outside the container. So that's all that we have to do there. Now we could test out the track now, but obviously we need jumps, we need ramps, right? And that's what we want to do. And probably right here is where I want kind of the elevation to drop, or the terrain to drop a little bit. So I'm gonna just drop it a tad bit, lower that hardness. That might be a little too low. Go back up. So we'll kind of drop. How far is that? That might be okay. No. Let's do that one. I messed up my track though. Crud. Go back. I messed up my track. Actually, I'll just do raise and lower terrain. That way it doesn't mess with anything. So it keeps our track, as you see here. I'm thinking that's a little too low. Oh. All right. Okay. So it's gonna kind of dip down there. And then we've got the bridge coming up here, so I kind of wanted to dip down again. Maybe we'll go up under the bridge. How high is that? So it's not really high. So we'll just lower this down, this point. And then we could do like a little jump once the AI is over the bridge. So we can do set terrain to height, probably do something like that. You usually want to try to make it as straight as possible. But see, now that we're adding jumps, the AI is gonna mess up because the nav mesh is going outside the map. But over here, it should be fine, because they're going to be starting over there for the testing. Okay. Oh wow, it levels out way up here. Oh, this might work. We'll do that, and then we'll just smooth it out to create our jump. That should do just fine. And so we have our branch off point there. And then I don't know if I want to add a jump. We probably add like a little jump right here. Nothing too crazy. Maybe just a little crazy. And we'll smooth it out. Now what I need to do is turn on the vehicle nav mesh, because most importantly, that's what we need to be seeing right now. And you can see it's broken here, and we don't want that to happen. We only want it to break at the branch off ramp. Alright, so let's go ahead and smooth this jump out. And as you see, I'm gonna lower the speed a little bit here. So our nav mesh generates over that hump. Generates there, so that's good. And then let's see. I don't know, maybe I could add like a ramp here. maybe a decent size would be fine. We'll go a little higher on it. So maybe something like that. And then I'm going to do a lower ramp, probably back here. And we'll just kind of ramp it down, just to help kind of make the landing a little bit better. And then we'll ramp this too. All right. Now we have it, obviously, we have the nav mesh broken here, so we gotta create a way to connect it, and we'll just smooth it out until it does. And all you need is just a small little connection. You don't need to have it wide. All it takes is a little connection. There we go. Now this is going to force the AI to use the center of the track a little bit more. So just like that. And then we'll smooth this out. And there we go. So now that's connected. And hopefully the AI will jump the ramp here, and then they'll land perfectly fine over here. It's hard to judge how far the vehicles will go. So sometimes you have to make changes in your jumps later on. So we're going to go ahead and bring this down, just kind of ramp it down a little bit. This is the starting line here. Alright. Now we're not going to have any ramps on the road, obviously. But we could probably put a ramp here. We're going to leave this open. We'll probably do a nice jump here. Just ramp that out. And then again, just smooth it over. Just like that. Pretty easy. And one thing I like to do too on turns, because I like to make turns a little more interesting than just being a flat turn. So what I want to do is I want to do a terrain, set the terrain height, and I want to go right here and do that. So do something like that. Then I want to take the ramp tool and just kind of go like this. And we'll just go around this bend with the ramp tool. That one's a little... I kind of screwed it up there for a sec. So we'll do something like that. Now, of course, we need to fix that. And we'll fix that by taking the smooth tool. We'll just smooth it out. It's not as slanted as I was hoping, but that'll be fine. Alright, so again, we need to fix our vehicle nav mesh here, because we don't want the AI to drive out of the map. Alright, so I think those are okay ramps for right now. Let's see, we want to make sure that the AI can't go into the center, because they'll take a shortcut for sure. And then this here, we'll block this off so that way they can't go up there either. Okay, so we have our track there. We have a few jumps. We could add more later. But now what we want to do is we want to test the AI. We want to make sure that they can go around this track successfully. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and save this map. You definitely want to save. And I'm going to call it, let's do RZR Whoops, sorry, I hit the mic. RZR snow, we'll just call it snow track for right now. I actually did another version of the map that was starting with that one, and then I figured I'd go ahead and make a video showing the creation of the track instead. And the track, the first version of the track was too big, so the AI wasn't working properly. So hopefully this one, it is slightly smaller. There's not that many curves and turns. Hopefully this one will work fine, and we're about to find out.
Bounty hunt.
Alright, so the AI is getting in the vehicles. Now, let's see if they actually drive off, and they do. So what we need to do is blow up the tarps. We want to make sure we get all of them, so that way, when they jump the ramp, they don't hit it. Sorry, there's a bit of a lag. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait for the AI to come around, and then we'll follow them. We'll see how they jump. And there they are there. Nice. Now, you have issues like this. Now, he's dead. Man, is he trying to... He sure is trying. Now, he's gonna get out. Maybe not. Usually when they get stuck, they'll get out. Okay, so we definitely need to make some changes. Alright, so let's see what's going on here. So they jumped the ramp fine. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what I may need to do. I mean, I could add an invisible wall, because they're getting stuck on that terrain. So we can add a invisible wall. We'll lower that down. We'll just extend it just like that. Now, sometimes what I like to do, like one invisible wall, is I like to angle it and kind of have the invisible wall sticking out, because if they happen to get stuck on the wall, they'll end up hitting this wall, and it's going to try to direct them back onto the track, if that ever happens. So we'll try that, and I'll also bring the control zone back a little bit here. Alright, we'll go ahead and save, and we'll jump in. Okay. Let's see what happens. Alright, so now they're going to run the track like morons. They do that, and they mainly do that when the control zone is apparently too close to them. It's really strange. It's not even really that close. Come on. So we have to pull it back and then see what happens. And it could have been too, my vehicle was in the way.
Bounty hunt.
Let's see what they do here. No. So they are running. They're not supposed to. Alright, so let's go ahead and bring this back a little further. Alright, so we've got that pushed back, and we'll try it again. I'll actually move my vehicle this time. Okay, now as soon as they put the bats on their back, you know you're good, because then they'll get in the vehicle. Just don't want to blow up my buggy. Alright. I'll try to catch up with them. Yeah, it's harder. It seems like it's harder to turn or it's slower to turn when you're on the ice. Alright, so we got our road here. So that'll be blocked off. Then hit lap 2. Okay. Bridge will be overhead. Wow. Alright, let's see what happens here. Alright, so they're stuck. Crud. Alright. I might have the angle of the ramp wrong. That's the issue. Well, let's try this. Let's go ahead and bring the track back a little bit here. So we'll have a slower turn and see what that does. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm ruining my slanted curve here, but I've gotta do it. So, all right. So we'll do that, and then so we'll have him come back, and then I'm gonna take the set terrain to height, and I'm just gonna curve it back a little bit. We need them to kind of come out and then face that direction. That's what we need. The only problem is this might mess the AI up even more, which stinks. Alright. Okay. Alright, we'll try that. Gotta get rid of these areas right here. The mesh. Alright, so let's go ahead and try that and see how that works. Oh, sorry, just hit the mic. Need to quit doing that. Alright. Let's go ahead and jump in. Alright, so they're getting into the vehicles. Go ahead and blow these up. That should be good enough. I don't know why they were getting stuck on the invisible wall. Looks like they're having a hard time on the ice. But as you can see, they're hauling butt. They're going really fast, and that's what you want them to do. See, I can't even catch up to them at all. Definitely have to fix that. I actually thought about doing music on these tracks and like choosing racing. Then again, if I do that, I don't think these maps can be portable. But it would be cool to have music where like songs that sound like they'd be in racing tracks or racing games, and then but it's random each time you play because you set the scripting up to be random. So every time you play the track or restart, you know, you're gonna get a different song. So this guy seems to have gotten locked on, unfortunately, which is not good. Come on, just get off the wall. And he gets out. Yeah. Watch, I'm gonna get out of my vehicle, and he's gonna end up taking mine. Maybe. Let's see. But he might be stuck in that little area. I don't know. Alright, here comes the other car. Now so sometimes they'll dodge a vehicle if it's sitting right there. I wouldn't recommend putting a vehicle there because sometimes they end up hitting it, then you got a bigger issue. But as you see, because that vehicle is there, that AI character, you know, kind of avoided it, which gave them the chance to go around. But that's how it's generally supposed to be set up. But the question is how can we get them to just go straight? Oh, this wall's sticking out a little bit. That might cause some problems too. And think about that. Now, since we fixed the angle of the jump, we could probably select similar objects. We could probably actually move it more over now. There we go. Alright, so let's see what happens.
Probably have the biggest stack.
Bounty hunt.
Changing places. Good plan.
Nice. There we go. That's funny how they mess up on the ice. Yeah, there's definitely some sort of slick, slippery mechanic, I guess, on that ice. Come on, guys. Go. And there it is. And they're both going. It's funny. It looks like they have a hard time turning on that ice. They keep going straight. This is where we'll have a giant cliff on the left. And it's a tunnel. Have some icicles and stuff like that. And then there they go. They're going straight. Perfect. We're gonna leave that just like that. Make no changes. Now, you'll probably have takes where they will grind on the wall and they will crash. You know, even if you get it to, you know, like 95% of the time they're going straight and, you know, doing another lap, there's still always going to be the 5% chance that they crash again. And you just can't get around that, unfortunately. If you could get it working most of the time, then you're in good shape. So anyways, so that's how they work. Now, one thing I'll say too, when you put the player's vehicle on the track, what I've been doing is, because you obviously want to have two vehicles for a co-op buddy, but if somebody's playing by themselves, then you have an extra vehicle in the way. I've been putting the player's vehicles off to the side and allowing the player to get into position, and then the race will start. Now, there is a way that you can make the AI hold their position while in the vehicles. And the way to do that is you'll take a vehicle. I prefer a flatbed truck because it's longer. And you take a flatbed truck and you block it off. And that's what you do. And this is a great technique to use if you ever have a scenario where you want an AI character to just be sitting in a vehicle and not driving anywhere. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave my vehicle right there. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll save the the map, and then we'll spawn right in.
Bounty hunt.
Okay. Oops.
I got your back, friend.
All right. Now they should stay still. All right. Now this method worked in my RZR dirt arena track. It worked flawlessly. They held their position until the player got in position and started the race. Great. For some reason, the backcountry track I had such an issue with. So the starting of that track is different. The AI spawn in, then they get in their vehicles. I wish it was just like the other track. But even though in the editor this works, sometimes in the published version it doesn't. And I don't know why. But it did work on my dirt arena track. It just didn't work on this one. Basically what happens is when the player gets into position, you have scripts that occur to unspawn that. Once it unspawns, then they'll start driving. So we'll blow it up, and blowing it up should get them going. And sometimes they do that. They back up a little bit, which gives the player a head start, unfortunately. Look at them go. Look at them go. They can't drive. So this might be an issue, but hopefully if I manipulate the nav mesh on the ice, we won't have that problem. So that's the starting line back there. Alright. See what happens here. Alright, so they get back on track. It looked like they were getting stuck for a second. I like how they run into each other and they ram into each other. Oh, he almost ate it. Alright, so that's how we have it set up. Now, it works right now. It works fairly well. The issue is when you start making the map look nice. You know, you start getting rid of these, you know, obvious bumps, and, you know, placing down rocks, placing invisible walls, adding trees, adding objects outside the map. It starts to mess up. It starts to mess with the AI for some reason, and I don't know why that is. And I think I'm gonna wrap this up here now. Unfortunately, I'll definitely do a part 2 because I definitely would like all of you to see the full development of a map like this. So we'll probably run into those issues in, you know, later parts when we start adding you know, visuals and beauty to the map and more assets and more detail and make the map actually look nice. So so yeah, it's unfortunate that that happens. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, getting this track set up. I look forward to doing a part 2 to actually getting it completed, getting close to completion. There might be a part 3, or maybe I'll have time to do the second part or longer. So anyways, that's going to be it for this one. You all take care now. See you.